Yep, good life.
Hola Madridistas, welcome back to another episode of Let's Hear Your podcast. You guys know the drill. If you guys are new here, don't forget to smash the likes and subscribe to the channel. We are on the road to 3K. Well, Sahil, pick up Sahil again. Uh, Today's, post match will be a bit more straightforward compared to, the last, couple of ones, where we had to kind of, I don't know how to really,
Tender grievances. That was
yeah,
just sharing grief with other people, I guess.
sharing grief, right? Like it was a fucking funeral
Yep.
after funeral for the last week in its entirety. But um, although the match kind of started off in a similar somber tone, where we saw most of our key players go down, either writhing in pain or just looking like they're just like they were like falling down like flies and. Um, the major talking point is going to be obviously the Militao injury that isn't going to do anybody any favors. Um, Before we get into the positives, obviously the positives far outweigh the negatives for tonight. Fortunately, but it's still like the caption that I had for the thumb and the post match title as well. It was a bittersweet route. Although we had a plethora of goals and then some very positive signs as to where the team is headed compared to the last week or so. It still detracts something away from the total elation we could have experienced if the injuries weren't a part of the equation. um as soon as full time clock, I reached out to Francisco. I said, coach, this is what we need from the team. This proactiveness, uh, this commitment to basically close down opposition. Put out fires collectively. Jude's positioning. The a bit more nuanced interchange between Vinny and Mbappe is all that we have been asking since the start of the season. And I also stressed this very clearly that like we guys love you too much, and we hope the club don't throw you guys under the bus because the injury situation, like even before a ball was kicked, was looking iffy in terms of the depth we have at the back, and now it's basically up to Carlo, Francisco and Davide to basically make sure this ship is afloat. And the amount of panic that was etched on their faces soon as all these guys were going down, it was a sorry sight. I don't want these guys to be going through that in a game against Osasuna. All no disrespect to Osasuna, but um, at home, especially like what happened to Militao, it's just yeah, the turf, man. Like I've seen quite a lot of players, basically kick the turf and basically mess up something in their muscle or something of that sort over the course of the last 2 years, ever since the renovation happened. But yeah, talk to me, Sahil. Before we get into the positives, the injury situation, like where do you stand, and how do we kind of um, basically assure ourselves that everything is going to be okay?
Yeah, no, definitely with you on that as well. It's a very dire situation, very sorry looking situation because um, we pride ourselves on having one of the most deep squads in world football, but at the moment it's looking very, very bleak, especially the defensive side of it. I know Rodrigo's injury was painful, but I don't think it'll be as serious as Militao's because he actually stayed onto the bench and he was treated over there.
Yeah.
Militao is just difficult to accept because in the same game we've lost Lucas Vasquez, who's definitely our last even like half natural option at right back.
Yeah.
Um, and even beyond that, there were calls of Militao being asked to fill in there, and now we don't have Militao either.
Yeah.
And because we don't have Militao, we don't have a centre back. I know Asensio's been thrown on,
Hmm.
um, but none of us would have really expected or even wanted
Mhm.
that to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good for the guy, and I don't know. He looks a bit older than a Fabrica player. I don't know how old he actually is, but
21. He's 21.
okay, yeah, 21 is fair. But yeah, because like even after Militao, you have
Mm.
Chouameni who's also injured. So then you're really asking yourself, who
Mm.
do we spawn here? I think Valeo was on the bench or no?
I don't think he was.
Yeah. So
Um, mm,
I mean, Ancelotti never subs on or tries an academy player because he wants to. It's mostly because he has to,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's why he's gone to that
Mm.
choice. But
Mm.
Asensio is he's done really well for himself. It was refreshing hearing that name, in a Real Madrid context once again. But yeah, the injury situation just keeps dragging us back no matter what. I know there's no good game to lose your centre back to what is probably another ACL injury.
Yeah.
Uh, it could have happened any other game, and it's just now looking towards the January situation. The club might even consider stepping into the market for that.
We have to. Have to. And now there's no hiding place. The Militao injury seems to be long term, right? Like the initial impressions
Yeah,
are he's
because
going to be out for the rest of the season.
the way he screamed out, the way
Yeah.
Kawahisi screamed out when he went down,
Yeah.
very very reminiscent of that. And
Hmm.
only players who have done their ACLs or have done something serious to themselves scream out
Yeah.
like that. Don't scream out like
Yeah.
that if you're going down for a nickel or a hamstring pull.
Yeah. Well, Militao, back to back major injuries in 2 years. It's going to
And in
do a
either
world
leg,
of harm.
I think last time it was the left knee.
It's expected, right? Like that's the thing. That's the thing. The all these injuries have the tendency to roll back basically because the other knee is compensating for the previously injured knee and whatnot. So yeah, we wish Militao all the best, and we wish our season all the best because at this point, no matter what happened against Osasuna, albeit it being extremely positive, some of what we showed today, um, the lack of numbers, especially at the back, is super concerning. And unless we make a headline signing, an absolute headline signing, in January, like I don't see how we cope, especially against big teams. Alaba coming back is a big question mark. We have no idea absolutely in what condition is he going to be in, right? Like because he himself had a relapse of his injury during his rehabilitation process. So um, it really depends on how serious we are. Considering where we want to be come uh, April May. That's up to the club, and I requested Francisco. We absolutely need to like you guys have to basically make sure the club does something because I don't think the quasi laid back approach is going to be of much a sense if you have eggs on your face come April May, and we get knocked out in pretty dire circumstances against probably inferior opposition. No disrespect, but it could really happen. But yeah, all that aside, Vasquez also had a niggle. It's just so fucked up, Sahil. Like Vasquez was struggling, right? But then he gets up and he
He
gets
continues, yeah.
yeah. I'm pretty sure the bench told him, we only have like three substitution slots. So let's get you to half time, and so that we don't use up the third slot and we don't have, an opportunity to bring anyone on in the second half. It's basically, forcing someone to play through injury for another 7-8 minutes to see out until halftime. It's just, yeah, man. Like the club really really puts these guys through the fucking hellhole, man. Like I don't understand how any of these guys really accept. the death sentence like they do. It's baffling. It's baffling. At the end, they'll be sacked and they'll be blamed. Like I remember these Milan fans speaking about the chance in the stadium against Milan. Like Carlo was getting pelted. I mean, that's what's going to happen if Carlo and the staff basically bow down to all these ridiculous situations they're being put through, man. Yeah. I had to get that out of my chest. But talk to me, Sahil. In general, our setup was a lot more fluid, right? A lot more
Yeah.
proactive. Osasuna, let's not kid ourselves. Osasuna bet Barcelona. Okay, if that's not enough, this is their second best ever start, to their
Two
season
seasons.
in history. Um, you
They
know,
were
uh,
fifth
yeah,
going
they're
into this
fifth.
season.
They were fifth. Uh, Podimeve, was in good form. Zaragoza. There was a real air of seriousness about this Osasuna side. They have been picking up some very decent results. Impressive shutouts in the last three games where they didn't concede a single goal. So they have been looking pretty decent. For them to not be given a whiff at the Bernabeu is in these circumstances as well. In a game that had like what three injuries, so the rhythm was interrupted. The flow was completely disrupted as well, but we still managed to keep tabs on them throughout the game.
Yeah, no, Osasuna are definitely doing well for themselves this season, regardless of this result.
Yeah,
Being fifth in the table for a humble humble team of their stature is
yeah,
no small task. But we've seen it before, man. We've seen great teams come to the Bernabeu and crumble, and more recently we've seen very mediocre teams come to the Bernabeu and play out of their mind. We've
yeah,
seen both of those extremities. So
yeah.
I'm not surprised that I think once the first two goals went in,
Hmm.
Osasuna were basically playing damage control beyond then.
Yeah,
Uh, and I know, I think that their manager was watching on from the stands because of suspension.
yeah.
Uh, I think they're a brave team, but like it was just not their day. And
Mm.
Real Madrid for us, obviously, the silver lining is that we scored four goals without reply.
Hmm.
Uh, Depending on how we take things from here with the injuries,
Yeah.
I think this could be a performance to build on because we've
Hmm.
shown signs of what
Hmm.
we want to see more of in the season that continues.
Yeah.
Because like a couple of weeks back, or before the last international break, there were wins, no doubt.
Hmm.
We were
Hmm.
winning games, but we weren't winning them with the sort of fluency or with the sort of consistency that Real Madrid usually does.
Yeah.
Uh, in our pressing today, it was much more of a team effort. I think we kept the ball brilliantly well, even without Modric on the pitch.
Yeah.
I think Kamavinga was great as defensive
He
midfielder.
was he was on it.
I know he had good help from Valverde in the first half, but then
Yeah.
Valverde went to right back.
Yeah.
He did go to right back in the second half. So I think the midfield ticked really well. The defense didn't have much to do, but when they did, I think obviously we saw this really new set of players, uh, which is this is a new player kind of which is essentially I don't know if you've seen him for the academy. I haven't much.
I haven't. I
Uh,
haven't. No.
so I mean, it was good to see, and the attack obviously wasn't peak fluency when it comes to finishing our moves. Like
Yeah.
we didn't see the sort of connections that we hope to see
It's
at,
still. It's still.
but it was an
We all
improvement. But
know.
it was an improvement. There was
We
no
all know who is the the the
the
odd one out.
culprit.
But
Yeah. This
yeah.
is one
But he
reason.
still was a bit better than
Yeah,
the
his
usual fare.
movement was less stagnant, I would say,
Yeah.
and it was definitely like the most crystallized version of this attack that we've seen in a while.
Mm.
Even with Bellingham, actually, he was high
100%.
in the field. He was combining with Vinicius, and his runs were for once his run in behind was caught, and it was picked
Sahil.
out
He
by a
makes
brilliant ball.
these runs
He
every
makes
week.
this. He makes these runs all the time, but it never gets picked out.
Why?
Um,
Why? I don't understand. Like they just hesitate to play it direct sometimes.
yeah,
Like, is
true.
it lack of
And
quality, lack of
and he's
conviction?
only having to do it because the guy who's supposed to be making those runs is playing with his back to the defender.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So
yeah.
that's a sorry sign. I know, like I saw this video of the highlights from the Milan game where Thierry Henry was
Henri
pointing.
was, yeah,
Yeah.
breaking it down. I
So
mean, he
now,
didn't need to break it down for us to understand that. Like, he shied
exactly.
away from taking initiative from
But
day one. He's
yeah,
just
even then,
devoid of confidence.
I know it was improved from Mbappe, but
Hmm.
his touch in the inside the box was just terrible at times, and that just goes to show, his
Yeah.
the state of his confidence at the
and
moment.
and and he's completely lost in his desperation to make something happen, because he's trying to knock
He's
balls
forcing things, yeah.
beyond, yeah, beyond the defender, and trying to go around them where there is absolutely no angle. Like, when Vinny does it, he does it with a bit more calculated
Yeah,
nows. I think, like, Vinny completely is showing this guy out. But yeah, I felt he was a bit better, but that's about it. But Jude Bellingham is the real deal here. That's what I told Francisco also. We need to leave him up the pitch, man. Yes, his work rate is a plus, but it should be only a plus in maybe a big tie, with the stakes of maybe a semi-final berth, right? But in these kind of games, when Jude Bellingham is up top, linking up play, you see the amount of effectiveness we have going forward.
yeah.
Um, the goal is so reminiscent of how electric he was last year. Like, it was such an outrageous finish. He just
Yeah,
did
definitely.
it with such ease.
100%. Uh, you could just see the difference in how many combinations there were, how many passing options there were when he was higher up the pitch and when he was on that left hand side,
Yeah,
even running through those half spaces. So
mm,
there's no doubt in my mind that that is where Bellingham should be playing.
yeah,
The deeper role obviously is steadfast and it's like more of a security.
yeah,
Uh, but that's not where his strengths are most like brought to the fore, right? Even Valverde,
mm,
but with Valverde, you can make a different point, but that he's not, that creatively
yeah.
gifted. He's more of a
Sahil,
direct.
but this is the conundrum, Sahil. Sorry to cut you off, right? All throughout last season, when he was scoring bags of goals, like people
Yeah,
like Farouk, and Farouk is a representation of that vocal majority, I would say, who think that Jude Bellingham isn't uh, Jude Bellingham's traits aren't, like you said, pronounced. Um, when he's playing up top, he's much better suited playing, infield. Whereas always used to argue, yes, he is the modern archetype of a very physical midfielder who can
yeah,
do it both ways. But what he undeniably brings in the third phase is just
uninterrupted.
pure quality. You
Yeah,
can't sacrifice that, even for a team as big as us.
true, and you can make an argument for both of those cases. I think a very
Mm.
solid argument because Jude before coming to Madrid was a deeper midfielder at Dortmund,
He used
and
to
he
be a
got
pivot sometimes, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And he was pretty comfortable playing there in the
mm,
Bundesliga. But what
yeah,
we have to take into account is this is a new team, and even then, with new
mm,
players around him, he's excelled in that new position. So that
yeah,
just goes to show his confidence, and
mm,
I think that's remarkable because on one end we talk about the lack of confidence with Mbappe playing in a
yeah,
slightly adjusted position,
yeah,
going from left wing to forward. I mean, relatively slightly, but
yeah,
this guy's gone from deep midfielder, false nine at times. So I think the answer lies somewhere in between those. If we can
mm,
find the right balance with
yeah,
Bellingham, I think
yeah.
the team hits its right balance.
If like I see, in this day and age, where the metrics are so deeply analyzed, how a team should be countering, the opposition uh, proactively, basically, starting, uh, basically stopping their attacks, with our attackers, um, being a lot more proactive, right? Like that should basically allow Jude to be that guy who gives his defensive work rate to the team as a plus. It shouldn't be the core essence of why he is implemented into the side.
We have other
That
guys for
shouldn't be
that.
his. What was that side?
We have other guys for that.
Yeah, like we should let Kamavinga do the job, Fede do the job. You
Because
know,
they're more than happy to do so, right? And
100%.
they can then contribute with Valverde with the odd run on the right side and Kamavinga
Yeah,
with sliding tackles. That is their plus.
yeah, yeah,
But for Jude, what they do as a core is his plus. So I don't think
yeah.
Carlos should get that side of it mixed up. I know
We
a
all
lot
know
of
why
fans are.
he. Yeah, we all know, right, Sahil, why he was
Yeah,
supposed to do it.
let's not.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's not rocket
it's like
science,
not
right?
mentioning. It's like mentioning the unsaid. Like,
Yeah, we all know that that's the case. But when Jude is still showing up, despite the fact that we saw against Milan, man, like how frustrated he was. But yeah, super happy for him. Again, he's doing this for the seventh time in his short stint with us. A goal and an assist in a game. Usually, when he gets a goal and an assist, that performance stands out more often than not. Side, like I don't know if you recall, like when he has a goal and an assist, that that team performance just is above norm because
exactly.
he's just that impactful.
Exactly
Um,
why I said that when Jude's positioning and his role in this team hits the right balance, that's when this
mhm,
entire team hits the right balance.
yeah,
He
yeah.
is the
He
heartbeat of this team. I know Vinicius is the poster boy, and he will
mm,
have more goals at the end of the season. But I have no
yeah,
doubt in my mind, regardless of where Bellingham plays, and
yeah,
I would have said this even without the goals and assists. Like
mm,
since the start of the season up until now,
yeah.
uh, apart from the last couple of games,
Mm.
him even in that deep midfield role was running miles. You know,
Socks off. Yeah, without him, I shudder to even think where our team would be.
but
Without all
then
that
again,
running.
it was
Mm,
just without the glids and without the appreciation because
mm,
fans these days they're blind
yeah.
in the end of a player who doesn't
But
produce.
the sport is like the sport is about goals, right? You can't
Yeah,
really
but there's no doubt
fault
that
them.
he
Yeah,
was working his socks off
yeah,
from the
yeah,
start, and
yeah,
his goals uh, are not that's not his core. This thing.
yeah.
But again, it's a good plus to have, and it's a
Mm.
better version
But
of this team when I see him attack the goal like that.
I 100% agree with the fact that goals aren't his
Forte.
aren't his forte, right? But this team deliberately needs to play him into positions where he can utilize his finishing because
Yeah,
man, after Vinicius he has to be relied upon, right? Mbappe not yet, at least for now.
I
But
feel
since
sorry
we're
for
talking
Rodrigo, man. After a
again,
few games
yeah,
benched, he comes back, gets his chance in the 11, and then he gets injured like that.
yeah,
I
yeah,
like the way he was, limping off. He went off like Vasquez, and then he came back on. That was more of him trying to, play on and push beyond his limits.
yeah.
But I think pretty soon he realized after that flick, he realized, and he went straight down. But yeah, hopefully he isn't going to get benched when he comes back.
Mm. Very, very difficult for me to sit through, Rodrigo kind of going through this. It has been a problem throughout the season, back injury, niggles every week. I just hope he regains his best version for the knockouts roll around. We need him. He's
Although I
very,
felt
very
like
crucial.
Brahim more than put a shift in when he came in for Rodrigo.
Yeah. But
He
there is
played
still a drop off in quality compared to Rodrigo. Brahim's still
Yeah,
good.
it is.
Still good.
But it was just in a different vein than what Rodrigo provides on the pitch. Brahim is
Oh
always
yeah.
going to be a different player.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
100%. Like I ain't making 1:1 comparisons. I'm just saying Rodrigo, adds so much more to this team than Brahim. But Brahim,
obviously,
again,
that's why
I'm
he's
a huge
starting.
fan.
That's why he's starting, and Brahim is not.
Yeah, yeah. Brahim is a huge asset. We have talked about this quite a lot, right? Like even throughout last season, his impact. Like I'm telling you, Mbappe should study what Brahim does. I mean, they are
Yeah,
different kind of players, but Brahim's tenacity to win back possession resulted in the fourth goal, and he has done this how many times, Sahil? How many times?
and
He
his
just
pressing
is
is
that.
incredible.
Yeah, very committed, very very committed, and his passing can be off. Sometimes his positioning is kind of muddy, but um, his like you said, his pressing is very much um, a crucial asset, especially late in games. And yeah, super impressed. He should really keep this up because the team needs him, especially in the absence of Rodrigo. Brahim is gonna step up big time, especially in terms of minutes. How he utilizes them, remains to be seen. Um,
A word on
that's
Frank.
it. Fran Garcia?
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. I'm pretty neutral.
Okay.
What did you think? Like, obviously, anything compared to the recent
And
Menti would be a step up, right?
you know what?
But
I think he's
mm,
actually improved his defensive game. His work rate and his positioning and his defensive IQ is just it was better than what it was last season. I think he's improved in that
probably,
regard.
probably, yeah, you could say that. You could say that. But start him back to back couple of games, you
But
you
has
you would
has Mendy made
notice.
any progress? Has Mendy made any progress when it comes to his weak
No,
points of his game?
no, 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 no. I would, I
Just
would, I
just
would
making a
attest to
point.
that.
No, yeah, just making a point.
Well, I
Trying
agree.
anything.
Frank Garcia has like his link up with Mbappe. I remember, like he's decent. He's a decent player. Initially, I used to think like he is way below par, way
Yeah.
below. He's well out of his depth. In our side, but yeah, he has something about himself. But he's too much of a one-trick pony for me, especially going forward. He can't do anything apart from crossing the ball. I'm yet to see, what he can really do apart from providing,
Speaking of Mendy, did you read the news coming out of Madrid where he was tried in defensive
tried
midfield
in midfield.
this week? Not one, don't you
See,
think? A team where so many players are, struggling to find their best positions or even struggling
mm,
outside of their best positions. We try
mm.
Mendy in midfield.
See, Sahil, these guys, man, Carlo was a deep lying midfielder himself, right? And he's played with some of the most, uh,
Yeah, I get
talented
it. He switched around
sixes.
Pirlo's position and all of that, but like Mendy, really?
In I mean, he has all the attributes. I'm telling you, like when you deep it, like his defensive AI is going to be a huge asset if deployed. I mean, you look at history. Guys like Perez, no, not Perez, my bad. Petit, Emmanuel Petit, who used to be a wing back, has excelled playing deep lying sixes. Philip Lahm
We'll see,
is
man. Time will tell.
another example.
I just
Kimmich.
don't think Mendy is built for it because I
Let's
don't
see,
think
let's
he has
see,
enough
let's see.
quality.
But Sahil, this is desperation also. I mean, like I'm not comparing Lam and Mendy, right? But I'm
Exactly.
I'm just I'm just highlighting the fact that Carlo is backed into a corner. His coaching staff is backed into a corner because a guy like Chouameni, who cost 80 million, who had a very promising season last year, is devoid of any sort of um, balance. His whole game looks off from time to time, and his defensive defensive work rate is pretty sketchy for someone who's playing such a crucial position. You saw Kamavinga, he was all over the place, right? Like Chouameni just doesn't
He doesn't track that
exert
many
himself.
players, and when he gets beat once, I don't think
Yeah,
he turns back and starts running again. He starts jogging. In
he
fact,
he gives up. I don't know why that is the case.
his work rate is nowhere near what Kamavinga brings to the table.
So Mendy might, probably fix that. Who knows,
We'll see.
right?
We'll
That's
see. I just
that's the whole reason. But yeah, going back to Jude, Sile, quickly.
Hmm.
The Jude goal was fantastic, but the assist from Raul Asensio was a thing of beauty. We have to highlight the assist and his
Yeah,
overall assured
yeah.
passing, his proactive positioning, how he kind of if you remember, completely dicked the ball off um Zaragoza in the
Yeah,
first half. Like he just looks like he's at home, Sahil.
definitely, and no signs of nerves coming up from the academy into the Bernabeu.
Yeah,
I thought his game had incredible composure in his passing.
100%.
Um, his positioning was. is was decent as well, of
Mm.
how much we got to see of it, because I don't think Osasuna had that many attacks,
Yeah.
to really come to a valid conclusion about his defensive game.
Yeah.
Uh, but again, that pass was sensational, and picking out that pass, I know Rudiger has tried it before with Mbappe,
Hmm.
but we just don't do it enough. It's something that's similar, in the vein of pressing and passes that play in behind the opposition's defensive line. These things don't happen, in a click. They don't happen just in one game. You've got to consistently do it and try it, and
Yeah.
eventually it'll come off. So I mean, that was incredibly brave, doing that on your debut.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't think we see many players attempting something like that, because it
Hmm.
could go wrong so very easily, right?
Yeah.
But I think the guy just had an extra bit of motivation,
Mm.
was pumped up to come on and prove himself. I'm glad he got the chance to do so, because I don't think many Madrid academy players down the years will
Mm.
have, will have that dragging right. Okay, we got to
Yeah.
prove. Uh, yeah, and like that tackle you mentioned again, the aggressive side of his game came through.
His drive, you know,
Yeah.
upfield, driving runs with the
So
ball as well
I'm
was nice.
I'm guessing that with Militao gone and Chouameni out, we're going to be seeing a little bit
A
of
lot
him.
more of him. Hmm.
At least till Chouameni comes. Is Chouameni's injury like more than 2 months or what?
A month, a month.
A month. So
Mm.
at least for a month. I mean, the
Yeah.
international break comes through in between. I know.
But
Uh,
Sahil, I hope meritocracy really, really takes center stage. If
that's something
he
that's
is,
outside his realm of control. I just
I know,
I
but I'm
don't
just hoping.
think that
Mm.
regardless of how well he performs, he has too many minds to change every year. It isn't just Carlo, right?
Yeah,
Carlo, you can
yeah,
change Carlo's mind, but those
yeah.
above him,
But we
those
have to give these guys a
management.
chance. I'm telling you. Like if he was
Yeah,
17, like John Martinez, I would
I know, I
understand. But
know.
he's a bit
Guys
more
like
mature.
someone like him making it to the front to the first team, will really set the path for future
Yeah.
Fabrica graduates to come through and
Attackers don't
look
stand a
up to
chance
these
at
guys.
all in this generation. But at
No,
least the
definitely not. Defenders,
defenders.
yeah. So looking up to
Yeah,
some guys like Carvajal, or this guy. I
yeah.
don't think there's
Even Fortia
Nacho. Yeah,
is really really
Carvajal,
bright
Nacho down the
prospect.
years. Yeah, definitely, man.
Mm.
Happy for this guy.
Yeah. Uh,
Especially at a time where Barca are playing with guys from their third team and whatnot. They've played
Casado, Fermin Lopez, too many,
10,
too many.
11 academy graduates they've had in the
Mm.
first team this year. So I
Yeah.
don't think we're going to be competing with them on that front anytime soon. But it's
Hmm.
good that we're bringing guys out from our academy, even if it is out of necessity, more than
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah. I'm super happy for Raul Asensio. I didn't expect him to be this, like you said, this composed. But yeah, we got to talk about the man of the moment. Before we get to the
Vinicius.
chat, Vinicius Junior, 12 goals, 7 assists so far this season. Um, man, the way he basically just carries the game on his shoulders is incredible. It's Cristiano levels of uh, showmanship. His low backlift, almost non-existent backlift when attempting to basically shoot. Is throwing everyone off. Like nobody kind of expects when he's going to shoot.
The
Um,
precision with which he curled the ball, inches
for the
around,
first goal,
yeah, the
yeah,
defender's leg and then into the corner.
yeah.
Mbappe tried that later in the match, but he shot with the defender.
Mbappe has tried that way too many times this season.
That is just, it goes to show his level one and his
Yeah,
confidence
yeah,
right now. Because
yeah,
even when the team is not at its peak efficiency,
yeah.
which is there like 80%
Mm.
of the time, he ends the match with something to show for. Uh, like the last 3 games, he scored now of our 6 goals. So
Second hat trick of the season. He is just
this
at his
game, I
very
think it's
peak.
just in conclusion, when the team clicks, Vinicius is doubly as
Effective.
effective.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry
He-
about end
mm,
product when it comes to him. Not anymore. That was a
mm,
thing of the past.
mm.
It's just the team has to put enough in his platter for him to put those goals away.
Yeah. Yeah, Montoya, like he's gonna be really wondering, what did he do, in his life to really be put through that kind of um,
Disappointing, yeah.
yeah, the kind of struggle to basically keep up with Vinny, because his own teammates can't really keep up with Vinicius. Mbappe, is a couple of he's a couple of moves behind where Vini wants to be. Always, it's always the case. But I did feel sorry for Mbappe a bit, where he kind of basically put it on a platter for a Vini hat trick that could have happened earlier.
Mm.
Than the Brahim assist, he could have had a poker probably.
But do you not
He.
think that an
Mm,
Mbappe in form or an Mbappe with his confidence up would have
mm.
taken a shot there? He would have, right?
Yeah, but that version of Mbappe, the version
Again, I
of Mbappe you're
wouldn't
referring
attribute
to,
it completely to down to
Sai,
confidence. I think he was just trying to
Sai,
be selfless for Vinny.
hear me out, hear me out. The version of Mbappe you're referring to is Cristiano Ronaldo. It just doesn't exist, Sai.
Yeah.
Because it was
We
always
see
for
it all
any
the
other
time in
player.
the big, we see it all the
Mm,
time in the top game.
mm.
Strikers being selfish for good reason.
Yeah,
If he
yeah.
wants to evolve into a really good striker, then he's got to add that to his game. I
He
know
he's
not
unfortunately,
one
the tier below. So for all those guys,
doing
the
himself any
better
justice.
option is to pass.
True.
Simple as, simple as.
I
But I
just,
do get your point.
if at all he was going for the international break with France, we would have seen
Hmm.
Pogba Man United situation. That's what I feel.
What was that? I don't remember. Pogba, what happened
Pogba used to perform way above his level when he was playing for France, but then
for
at Man
France?
United he
Oh,
was
right,
dog shit.
right. Obviously, they play fucking San Marino. Did you hear San Marino had something to say to us on social media or something, right? My goodness.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
they
that
won their first game ever in their history a few months back, and like a
yeah.
couple international breaks before.
Mm, mm.
Good for them.
Good for them, good for them. But really bad PR for us if they are, uh, atting us in Twitter and whatnot. But um, right, yeah, Vinicius, man, I really have to, commend his maturity. Like the only slight nitpicking. Okay, this is an extreme nitpick. He has to really stop asking for players to get yellow carded. Come on, man. You can throw your arms in the air for frustration, but you have
Yeah,
to stop that antagonizing side of your game. That's the
that is
last bit. He has matured a lot. Like last year I used to like slate him left, right, and center for some of his completely, because he used to get so indulged in the antics that he couldn't really perform on the pitch. But
And
now,
that's what
man,
the players wanted. They were provoking him
yeah,
for that reason.
yeah,
Once they
yeah,
put him off his game, that was last
yeah,
season, the
yeah.
season before that as well.
Mm,
Once they put him off his game, he was lost in the game, or even the fans to an extent. He got
mm,
affected by that so much that he was focusing more on that than his game. I know a couple seasons ago he still had Benzema to sort of mentor him,
mm.
but this time he's all out on his own. It's him against the world and the fans and the referees and the opposition right back.
Yeah, and I think the Mbappe um, inclusion addition has really made him that much more motivated to really be uh, the the man, and yeah, man. Vinicius just looks like he is, yeah, upping his ante every week. I just hope we get this Vinny at Anfield, because they'll be they'll be struggling to cope. Especially Trent. I'm
No,
pretty
I think
sure.
Trent has improved a lot defensively as of late.
I know, but no
It won't
improved,
be
or
as it
even
won't
the
be as open gate as last time.
100%. They would be a bit more on their toes, and would deploy something different to kind of keep tabs on Vinny. But I'm telling you, man, like Vinny, bro, even the best right backs in the world would struggle. Araujo struggled with him. Kunde has struggled with him. Obviously, the last Clasico was a completely different, situation. But anyway, let me get to a few of the comments quickly
Sure.
before we move further. Right. Big up Ashik, he was mentioning a better performance, but it was also Osasuna. Let's not get carried away. 100%. we have to caveat this performance with the fact that it's Osasuna. Still, there was a lot of positives. The injuries didn't help, but I liked Asensio. Wasn't tested too much. Looked assured still. Right. Big up. Ala Madrid says Scott Hynam. Big up yourself. Dipanjan. Big up yourself. He was mentioning. I don't think SOG signing is coming. What is SOG? But why can't we trust Castilla players? Every team plays their academy players. Jesus Fortea can play. I don't understand the mistrust on young players. Fortea has been really promising, and I've been looking upon him. On especially Real Madrid Fabrica. Shout out to them or him. Has been
If
doing
and
a
when,
quality content over the years.
if and when the talk of like serious talk of a signing does come up,
Yeah.
what names would you be throwing around? Because I can only think of two: Sergio Ramos and Aymeric Laporte.
Yeah, I can't think of any. I'll be honest. Laporte, why would he sacrifice sunny Saudi
Exactly,
Arabia and
Laporte
all
is.
the fucking money
It has to be more
for
than 2 years. Ramos, I think, can be a short-term solution.
never. Too big of an ego as a club, as a guy who is Perez, no chance. Ramos is out of the question, man.
A
Not
man
happen.
can
I
hope.
would love that to happen, but
A man can hope.
well, we are all a bit. I mean, nostalgia is one hell of a drug. I know it better than most. Ashik was mentioning. Don't forget that we scored mainly from the run of play or quick long balls. We are still struggling to pick apart a deep block team. That's also true. But I don't know, man. Like I just had to basically drink this up. I mean, we are in a position that we really. I mean, when it used to go well, we used to nitpick. Oh yeah, like we aren't that fluid. We have to
Mhm.
rely on Cruz. Picking the lock at times last season, but now we are so rock bottom. These man, these are fucking field trips. We have to basically sip in. Hassan was mentioning number 9 looking like a spicy Rashford. Yeah,
Oh,
man.
Rashford to Lukaku last week. Higuain next.
Man, put some respect on Higuain. I used to rate him, and he used to be pretty fucking good. Okay, I mean, he
Yeah,
used
no,
to
no.
have his off days, but
Last season with Napoli, 14-15, I think, where he broke all sorts of records in Serie A.
yeah. Always a very adept striker. Even for Juve, scored some big goals. Even in the Champions League. But yeah, Ashi was mentioning maybe Mbappe can be used as a decoy. Just like today, since he ain't making the runs, he should make, and Jude is making them. It takes Mbappe an extra.
Then we're playing with
Uh,
10 players instead of 11.
that's the thing. That's the thing. Like Mbappe requires a fucking personalized invitation to make a run across the box. He's always just caught in two minds as to where to be. I don't understand. Yeah, it has to improve. Oh yeah, we should have mentioned Lunin. I wanted to talk about him. Is the
Oh,
first
the
Real Madrid
assist.
keeper to get an assist in 30 years. What was that about? Huh? Improvisation.
It's just a moment of madness more than anything. I don't think he's ever tried that before for us in
He
a
has
game.
tried that before. Sahil, come on, man. Put some fucking
I
respect
don't
on Lunin.
remember. I don't think
You
he's
can't
tried that
remember
before.
because you don't love him enough. That's what I would say, Sahil.
Okay, fine. Maybe he has. Okay, fine. If you're right, then it's the first time we remember it because it's the first time it's come off.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't see Courtois trying that a lot. He
No.
usually throws it, and Lunin
Yeah.
will. And yeah, I mean, we
Vinicius
always
again. Man.
the love
They
for Lunin dies out as soon as Courtois comes back. That's my only issue.
yeah, I hate it as well, but it is the reality. I mean, personally I don't like
With
Thibaut
Courtois
much,
picking up
but
an injury almost every other season, I think he'll rate his chances. That's why he's renewed.
mm,
If he
mhm.
didn't think he wasn't going to play, I don't think he would have renewed.
Yeah.
So I think his patience and his resilience is
Mm.
commendable.
Copa del Rey probably might be one of his. My goodness, but yeah, Lunin deserves so much more, man. He's such a gem of a keeper. I don't understand some of the criticism he gets when our defense has a complete off day and he's supposed to make those saves. A man twice his size makes. Sometimes it's just a bit unrealistic. I know he has been a bit iffy in his positioning, from crosses and
Yeah.
corners and whatnot. But yeah, yeah, man, Vinicius again, for that goal, you just have to, aspiring footballers should take a look at how Vinicius basically, yes, his pace is an asset, but we have another guy who has,
Loads of pace.
probably be a better pace than Vini, from
But you've got to use it well. And
there you go.
yeah, the deceit in his game where he
Mm,
feints one way and goes the other,
yeah.
or people say steppers and body feints are for nothing, but Vinicius
Mm,
puts them to good effect, I think.
mm,
And even the confidence it takes for him to round off a goalkeeper like that, and he always does that
yeah.
when he's one on one with a keeper. I think
Yeah.
at this point it's more of a thing where they expect him to do it, but they just
Yeah.
can't stop.
Yeah.
Uh,
Because if one move the wrong way, it's a pen. It's
yeah,
finished. Game over.
true. So it's the confidence that matters to me with Vinicius and with
Mm,
Bellingham. I have no doubt in my mind that they are incredible players. What sets them apart with Mbappe right now is the confidence, and even for Jude, the way he chipped the keeper over there,
yeah.
slight touch. That's it.
100%. Yeah, man. Big up Lunin. Uh, Deepanjan, big up yourself. Was mentioning Farhan at least provides an extra man in the attack. Mendy does in attack, and his defensive attributes have been horrible this season. Man,
I
I'm telling
would
you.
say that once game is
Yeah.
edging towards complete,
Mm,
but right now it's still a work in progress. So I'm not going to
mm.
make that point just
Very
yet.
hopeful. Very hopeful,
It's not
Sahil.
implying anything. I'm just saying, notice
Mm,
what you're seeing on the
right.
pitch with Fran and
Right.
with,
Yeah. There's a slight improvement. But like
because someday
I
Fran's going to play out of his mind and he's going to get assists and he's going to play a complete game, and then people are going to think that okay, this happened overnight and it's only a one game thing, but it's not.
mm, mm. Okay, fair, 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 fair. I mean, I hope there'll be more performances to back this claim up, because I really have to basically save my verdict for when he gets to start back to back games and back to back big games, and be decisive in both of them and going
Yeah,
both ways. That's going to be the day where I would raise my hands and say, you know what, Mendy has to be uh
push to defensive
basically
midfield.
not push to defensive midfield. Like I in fucking
Yeah,
Ariago
you
Sachi, man.
want that,
Sahil,
right?
you have
You
to
want to
fucking
see
relax.
you
You know.
want to see Mendy in defensive midfield.
No, I'm just saying. This is the thinking that these guys would have, because Joe Many's pretty shaky. Start of the season has forced their hands.
Yeah,
But yeah, if you want me to be Ariago Sachi, I can be Ariago Sachi. Just get me a team. And get me a suit like Carlos. I'd be ready. Big up Ashik was mentioning Mendy has been seen ball watching more often than watching the runs. Yeah, it's pretty fucking infuriating. Mendy, man, I used to back him so much, but this season, it's a whole different story. Um, but yeah, substitutes. Endrick Goller didn't really have that much uh, you know minutes of consequence to
yeah.
really make a say.
Hendrick is just lacking match sharpness and like he was a
Mm,
bit reckless with one challenge, and then even his touch on the ball didn't seem right because he's not
mm,
had any game time for like
yeah.
5 6 games in a row.
Mm.
Uh, at least spare him
After
time
that,
in the game, man.
uh, after the Atleti shambles, where he didn't pass, he hasn't touched the pitch. Yeah, man.
Mm.
Probably Carlos kind of shielding him, and Arda Güler. I think Arda Güler should be starting a bit more games, and at least coming on a bit more
Mm.
early.
I just think
You know,
he's behind in that pecking order behind Brahim still.
yeah. Oh, obviously he would be. He would be. He would be. But
And he
might
isn't
be.
competing for a midfield spot, I don't think. He's
Mm,
Carlos forcing him to compete for the right winger spot.
yeah. Yeah. Like Carlo, I don't think trusts in his, like the midfield, man. Our midfield, despite all these, physical specimens we have, supposedly physical specimens, we are a fucking, we are a fucking above average pass from being cut through. Uh, like knife through butter. It's so fucking easy for us to kind of go from, oh yeah, like we are okay, basically making them have possession in their own half, to our center backs being caught up in an island. Um, but yeah, final thoughts, Sahil. Carlo, do you think this is his Muhammad Ali moment where he's coming back?
Not just yet. I mean, it's also Sinatra. I know they've had a good season, but we need
Yeah.
to prove ourselves against uh, a bigger team.
Hmm.
That's the way I would put it. And in the past, it's always been the inverse situation where we've always shown up in the big games, but struggled against teams that were lower in the table. But
Yeah.
now it's a situation where we have to back ourselves and make use of our squad depth of or whatever is remaining of it, if
Mm,
anything.
mm.
The defense right now is very very fragile
Yeah.
because we're another injury away from having no recognized defenders on the pitch, and
Hmm.
we don't have a Nacho anymore. So I mean, forget about all that. I mean, it's just scoreline takes it away. I guess Vinicius's hat trick takes it away. I'm pretty pleased with that. Even with the second half performance, I thought we controlled the game a lot better
Hmm.
than we have in previous games. I thought the pressing was beginning to take shape and it was starting to be more of a collective effort than just individuals running around. So those are good signs always to see. The pass from Asensio was another thing where you take your hat off and admire the true quality and skill behind something like that. It was so easy on the eye.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a matter of continuing what we've seen tonight. Okay,
Mm, mm.
uh, we've lapsed in concentration, we've lapsed with focus
Yeah.
so many times, and it didn't happen tonight. I'm just pleased that we didn't let Osasuna back into the game at any point tonight, even regardless, despite of the injuries.
Hmm.
But the injuries is just the only thing that keeps me from being very confident about the future
Mm.
because right now our defense is just a mess. I don't know
Yeah.
who Carlo picks to play next.
Mm.
Next injury, right? Once Rudiger's
Yeah.
gone, I know Rudiger doesn't get injured, but Rudiger is the only player who's basically a starter in that back four right now.
Touch wood, Sahil. Don't say it like that. It's
Yeah, no,
fucking.
I mean things can happen very quickly in football now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, 4-0. I'm pretty pleased.
I agree with you. Rudiger should be again. Rudiger should be having fucking bodyguards escorting him in and out of the stadium. Probably to the dressing room at halftime. It's that peak. And like you said, Carlos, comeback completely relies on what the club decides to do in the winter, and also how much he would rely on guys like Asensio, and look towards the academy to kind of plug holes, especially in defense, because Vasquez, he needs help. He needs help. He can't start week in week out. He can't face up against the best players in the world. I know from a pure professional perspective, throwing someone like Asensio under the bus probably against a Haaland would negatively impact his career. But if you prepare the kid so much that you get stints against Inaki Williams coming up right in a bit. Stints against probably Salah and Co. Who knows, right? Like he's a lot more prepared and a lot more experienced to take on a much bigger challenge come probably the knockouts. You have to you have to take the chance of probably this kid might have a mare. You have to. Football is such a funny game that even the best of players have mares all throughout their career. Like Ramos used to have so many defensive lapses. Varane, you saw how much he cost us probably in big moments. In the second half of his career. So we have to take the risk. We have to give these kids, a fighting chance to really prove themselves, and that's the only way forward. And Carlo, I hope Carlo has the guts and the balls to bank on them. Um, as for people who would argue, this is Osasuna, this is Route One football. Man,
Yeah,
I would still kind of take pride in the fact that we executed some of the basics right.
Yeah.
We don't have to play fucking tiki taka, uh, you know, progressive, dynamic football all the time. That would come with the team gelling in a bit better, probably in the future. But now, being this ruthless and taking full advantage of the pace of our attackers is all I ask for. And Vinny is thriving, and long may it continue. Uh, I want my team to be direct. I don't want my team to muck around and ponder three, four intricate passes to get to goal. I'm more interested in us being direct.
And I
But
know
yeah,
somebody mentioned this,
mm,
Smith. Sorry,
mm.
somebody mentioned this in the comments where they said we still aren't, cutting apart a low block.
Ashik
Honestly,
did mention it. Yeah.
tonight I just think we played so well. We didn't have to. We
Mm.
didn't give Osasuna the time to go back into a deep block.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we were more direct in that sense, and that just, yeah, hopefully that continues.
100%, 100%. The players really, like, now I hope people understand, right? Like, there is only so much Carlo can do. Do you think this is a game, Sahil, where the complete essence of what Carlo was trying to do this season was torn apart, and kind of had a complete facelift? It
Yeah,
didn't. This is essentially more of the same what we have been seeing, probably a bit more. Uh, a bit more tweaked. That's about it, right? Like, what we are seeing is the same old Carlo, uh, that we have seen all throughout the last 3-4 years. What changed is the players' determination, the players' commitment to what happens every now and then, because they can only prepare you for the situation. But when the situation is in front of you, how the players react to it defines the game for Carlo, because Carlo isn't Pep, right? Like, so yeah, all we can ask for is the players to really step up, man. But yeah, before we go, let me read a few of the last comments. Ashik was actually responding to you. He was mentioning the key is the Liverpool match. If they shine this kind in this kind of swagger at Anfield, then we are in business. He was mentioning, Sahil, our defense isn't a mess. In order to be a mess, it has to exist. We don't have any there at the physio or under the surgeon's knife. Javier was mentioning in the chat the Pintus. Go on, Sahil.
yeah, that's basically what I was saying.
The Pintus situation. Yeah, like, I don't understand. Maybe there is some truth behind his. Um,
We'll never know, and we'll never know with Pintus. If it is
yeah,
Pintus, if it's the schedule, or if
yeah,
it's something. It can't be the
mm,
players. Definitely not. It's just they're not being taken care of in a way that they deserve. It's either by
mm,
FIFA or by the club. So
yeah. I just hope the situation sorts itself out, because the press is very, very negative on Pintus. Big up Mr. Fortress. He was mentioning it's game over. By the way, I hope nobody is giving Carlo credit for this. A major reason why we won is because of the injury where he had to bring on that kid. He was forced. It wasn't by choice. Plan for next season's transfer targets. This season's over. Yeah, pretty damning verdict from Mr. Fortress. He was also mentioning Scalvini, Ignacio, Anto Silva are good CB options. But man, Scalvini, Ignacio, and Anto Silva, like, they play for some top clubs. Like, why would they let go of their starting centre backs in the winter? And even if they did want to let them go, you would be paying a premium. 80 million? Do you think the club would spend 80 million on a centre back? I really don't see a timeline we would do that, especially in 2024. It's never going to happen. I rate Scalvini. I rate Anto Silva. I rate Ignacio as well. Pretty, good young centre backs, who is, at times, super versatile. They can play down the wing as well. So it's great, but we have to really analyze. I don't know about the contract situations and whatnot. So the winter is never going to be the place for you know transfers as big as this, especially for the clubs involved. Um, I was mentioning we need to get rid of Militao next window. Couple of ACL injuries permanently downgrades a player, and he hasn't. He wasn't exactly amazing before.
I mean,
Mm.
You can say
Mm.
that about a lot of players who are injury prone. It's not
Right.
just, but Militao shows up 7, 8 times out of 10. He has
Yeah.
these blunders where he's not, focused
Yeah.
enough. But
Yeah.
can't really call for him to be sold, especially in this market.
100%. He's the biggest. Not in the winter. He was mentioning in the summer. The season is a write-off. I still won't give up on the season. No matter what happens in La Liga, Barcelona is they're on a fucking sprint. But um, if they slip up, we should be there to collect what's remaining of the season, and especially in the Champions League. I really want my team to win it. I would still say if we get our cards right, and basically kind of reignite the fire this team had last season. There is no one who's going to stop us, especially in the Champions League. Milan, yes, it's a one-off. We have seen so many Milans before. Who was it? Ajax. We have seen Sheriff Tiraspol come and do it. So we are used to these one-offs, but in the Champions League, we are not to be messed with. I hope people gonna realize that again. They get carried away with the narratives. Ashik was mentioning Militao is done. He ain't coming back or is to his peak anymore after back-to-back seasons with knee injuries. Yeah, it's pretty terrible considering what Militao means to the side. But yeah, hopefully he comes back stronger. But yeah, big up everyone in the chat. Big up people who will be tuning in on our audio platforms later as well. I always reiterate, you guys are our backbone, have been our backbone all throughout these last 3.5 years or so. What makes this pod is basically you guys making this a two-way street where we can have civil, pretty interesting conversations regarding the game, the pod, the team. What our stakes are, what our fortunes are, and whatnot. It's super humbling when you guys mentioned that we guys accompany you on gym routines, night drives, while cooking, swimming, all that. It's super nice. Thank you for all the support that you guys have bestowed us. Over the years, we couldn't thank you guys enough. Keep doing that, and also go check out our sponsors if you want to keep supporting the pod. Show them some love so that they show us some love. LB at 20 get 20% off in free shipping on manscaped.com. Obviously, the pioneers of below the waist grooming for men. They have a huge collection of products, man, ranging from nose trimmers, beard trimmers, loungewear, boxers, you name it. Manscaped probably has it. It's pretty big. Also, go check out Fanatics, official partners of Real Madrid and La Liga. We don't have a promo code for them, but they do conduct a week to week special offers. Sometimes it's 25% off, sometimes it's free shipping. Go check them out. Yeah, they have probably the biggest apparel kit collection for sports out there, basically. And I'm pretty sure that they're partners also with the Premier League, NASCAR, etc. They also have some autographed stuff, some signed stuff from players. I've come across the Rodrigo shirt from jersey from 21-22 as well. So yeah, go check it out. Show them some love, and yeah, boys, keep your eyes peeled for Sid's fan cams. He'll be with his team, working hard, speaking to fans outside the stadium, getting their perspective on the now, and yeah, show him some love, show the fan cam some love, and hopefully we'll see you in a week's time when we come back. It's Leganes and then it's Liverpool. It's going to be another testing period before winter rolls in and the Super Copa rolls in. Hopefully, this team can withstand, man, and the club needs to really tighten their seatbelts and sort this mess out in the winter transfer window. Even if it's temporary signings, loan signings, something low profile, we just need bodies at the back. But yeah, boys, until next time, Ala Madrid.